Welcome to today's episode of Brooke Talks About Something Before She's Fully Thought About It. Amazing. I was laying down about 2 days ago, and I don't read a lot. I wish I did, but one of the kind of two-part issues with me reading that becomes just this mental game is like what to read, when to read, how much to read, etc. And so one of those things being what to read, right, can have kind of this identity to it of like, what am I reading? If somebody asks what I'm reading, what am I going to tell them? Do I enjoy what I'm reading? You know, like what it is. Then there's the how much do you read, right? Like, do you read for 5 minutes and then just never again? Do you read entirely to where you kind of lose sense of your body, which is a good feeling sometimes, but depending on the, like spectrums of how much you read. Then there's like putting what you read into practice. And that doesn't necessarily mean like self-help or anything like that, but it means just like, do you talk about what you read with people? Do you absorb it and do anything about it kind of thing? Is it just for play? All of these things. One of my biggest issues recently in the past few months has been I'm not doing a lot. And that's weird because it's a broad statement to say, but the point of that has been the fact that my whole life I've been in school and I'm not right now. And I haven't even been out of school that long, but it's sinking in enough for me to like kind of freak out. And 2 nights ago, I was laying down and I was on my computer. And again, another added thing of the reading complicated is how you read. How do you source the thing that you're reading? Because we live in an age where the internet, you can find anything, pretty much. Paywall, you can find anything, You can go to public libraries, which then is also a decision to then have to go do things. But you can find public libraries, you can find PDFs online, you can do all these things, And like, I've almost never read for pleasure. And I say almost because the only things that I have been like teenage books, like Percy Jackson, love that shit. But like in terms of what I'll call scholastic reading, meaning like things that have to do with my career, things that are just like I don't have to read this thing, I just am because I want to. But it has to do with something scholastic or has to do with something to learn about. I was just laying down. And a few nights ago, I went on a kind of loophole. Like, this was the weird train of how things happen. I saw a video of this girl talking about art books. And she was like, these are these art books that you should read if reading is difficult for you and because this and that. And then, like, which gets into this whole literacy crisis, yada, yada. But she was like, here's, like, 7 books that as an art historian, I read these to kind of understand artists, and as artists you should read these because yes. And I was like, oh, cool. And she listed like 7, which I went to go look all of them up. Cool. One of them that I looked up was a PDF on the internet, and I was like, oh, period, I can read this for free, because it says like, you can have this for 30 days for free. I could just read it right then. So I'm going through this thing and I'm reading it, and it was basically like a bunch of artists who had turned to artists who had then found careers as professors. And the PDF was a list of what they thought was the most influential assignment their professors had given them. And or something that they make as assignments. So it was really cool. It was like artist person who gives this assignment and what it does and why and all these things. And so like I was reading this, and it's like, some of them I was like, whatever, or I was like reading it, went to go look up the artist to see if what they do on their own, which I was like, okay, then kind of cross-referencing what I found interesting or how much I dove into it. And then one of the people, which I can't even remember her name off the top of my head because it was I was digesting it kind of quickly, but I wrote it down, so it was fine. Which then gets to know a whole other thing of how much you actually digest. Anyways, one of the people from this entire article that I read about, she wrote a thing. Let me actually, I think I have it in my notes. Hang on. Did I not? I thought I put it in my notes. Let me Google it. Pause. Mary Walling Blackburn. The Fire Manifesto. That. So, what? Mary Walling Blackburn, I don't know of her that much. I don't. She was in this list of people that I was reading. And the Fire Manifesto was so interesting because basically, in a nutshell, and she talked about it so beautifully and was like going into detail about things, which I have such an issue doing when I go to write. Like in my head, I feel like I'm so detailed, and then I go to write something and it's like, but she wrote about it so beautifully. And it was basically, though, in my Neanderthal terms, humans don't find things as interesting as they do as when something is on fire or when it has to do with something burning. So it's like you'll see a shopping cart and you don't think that shopping cart is interesting, but if a shopping cart's on fire, you suddenly are interested in it, and it becomes this thing of like awareness, and it's like you didn't care about the before, you don't really care about the after. It's a present moment thing. And it was so cool. It was so interesting and like kind of duh. And she wrote it in like 2004. So I was like, this is interesting because it was so old, probably to a lot of people. I don't know how popular it is. I don't know. Anyways. But so that all happened, right? For me to get to this learning a new thing. Instagram video, looked up the books, looked up the person, looked up the thing. Ding, 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 got to there, right? So to me, this is like a niche of learning. I watch Minecraft YouTubers, right? I watch a couple of them. And one of the people that I watch, I don't really watch him, but whatever. He was building these trees, these like really big trees in the game. And one of them is on fire in the game. Not really on fire, but he built it so that it looked on fire. So it's like video game design, sculpture, painting, whatever you want to call it, of this tree on fire. And it's funny because like I had seen that and it was very beautifully done. Probably 2 months ago, I'd seen it. But then I read that thing and then I saw it. And when I had seen the thing originally, I was like, oh, this thing is beautifully done because pixel game, but it looks organic, And then after I read the thing, I then started thinking of it like that through the Fire Manifesto. I was like, well, I'm thinking of this video game thing through this lens, which is so cool. One of the things I think recently for me I've been so frustrated with and what all of this encompasses for me, and I said it out loud like 2 days ago as a joke, but I really need to like, this was me talking before I figured something out. I think I feel like a bum if I'm not learning things. Like, I've been in school for so long, and I don't know this for a fact of like whether or not I'm putting things into practice. I don't know. Meaning absorbing and thinking and making something out of. You know, like if I read this Fire Manifesto and I was just like, okay, whatever, like that's kind of not absorbing it, not putting it into practice. But like, I think when I'm not actively absorbing or actively listening to things, I take it as like a what do they call that? Like a self-image kind of thing. Like I'm like, oh, if I'm not reading, learning, doing, making, I'm just a bum. And I noticed this because I kind of haven't done anything. I haven't read, I haven't learned, not that I haven't learned, I haven't read text, learned scholastic, learned things outside of what I'll call self stuff in a long time. And so I read and I was like, oh, I feel like the baddest bitch. And like, but I think it's interesting because now I'm in the point where I'm doing that myself instead of in a class or in a thing. So it's like now I'm at this point of it then becomes kind of a hippie thing because I'm like not directed to do anything. I'm just able to dilly-dally, I guess.